Exploring the Tapestry of American History, a documentary journey. Before 1492, the indigenous peoples of America had established a diverse range of cultures, societies, and economies across the continent. From the advanced civilizations of the Aztecs and Mayans to the nomadic tribes of the Great Plains, these communities lived in harmony with the land, developing unique systems of agriculture, trade, and governance. Columbus' voyage in 1492 marked the beginning of European exploration and colonization in the New World. His arrival on the islands of the Caribbean opened the floodgates for successive waves of explorers, conquerors, and settlers from Europe, seeking wealth, land, and glory. This era forever altered the course of history for the indigenous peoples and the entire world. In 1607, Jamestown, Virginia, became the first permanent English settlement in North America. Funded by the Virginia Company, this colony laid the groundwork for British colonization on the continent. Despite facing immense hardships such as famine, disease, and conflicts with indigenous peoples, Jamestown eventually flourished, paving the way for further English settlements. The Pilgrims and Puritans, seeking religious freedom and a new beginning, founded New England in 1620. The Mayflower Compact, signed aboard their ship, established a form of self-governance that would become a cornerstone of American democracy. Their settlement in Plymouth and later, the establishment of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, shaped the cultural and religious landscape of early America. The transatlantic slave trade began a dark chapter in human history, forcibly bringing millions of Africans to the Americas to toil on plantations. Amidst brutal conditions, enslaved people resisted their captivity through rebellions, the establishment of maroon societies, and the creation of a rich cultural heritage that would deeply influence American society. The French and Indian War, marking a pivotal point in colonial conflicts, was more than a battle over territory. It was the stage where allegiances between European powers and various indigenous tribes were tested, leading to a reshaping of North America's geopolitical landscape. The war's end saw Britain emerging as a dominant power, but it also sowed the seeds of discontent among the colonies, burdened by taxes to pay for the war. As the smoke from the French and Indian War cleared, discontent brewed among the American colonies. The imposition of taxes and lack of representation in the British Parliament ignited a flame of rebellion. This period was marked by growing resistance against British rule, setting the stage for a larger conflict. The Declaration of Independence in 1776 was a radical move, asserting the colony's right to self-governance. Crafted by visionaries, it articulated grievances against the British Crown and laid out the ideals of liberty and justice. This document not only severed political ties with Britain but also inspired future generations in the quest for freedom. The Revolutionary War was a testament to the colony's resilience and determination. Key battles showcased not just military prowess but also strategic alliances with foreign powers. The path to victory was fraught with challenges, yet it culminated in the emergence of a new nation, ready to define its destiny. In 1787, the Constitutional Convention was a groundbreaking moment in the framing of democracy. Leaders debated fiercely over the structure of the new government, balancing state and federal powers. The resulting Constitution, with its principles of checks and balances, laid the foundation for the United States' democratic governance, ensuring liberty and justice for all. The Trail of Tears epitomizes the dark side of American westward expansion. This tragic event saw the forced relocation of Cherokee, Creek, and other Native American nations from their ancestral lands to designated territories west of the Mississippi. Thousands perished during the grueling journey, marking a profound loss of life, culture, and heritage. In the shadow of the Trail of Tears, America's westward push continued, driven by the belief in manifest destiny. This era was characterized by the rapid expansion of territories and the displacement of indigenous populations. Settlers moved westward, lured by the promise of land and prosperity, fundamentally reshaping the American landscape. The Industrial Revolution marked a turning point in American history, ushering in an age of unprecedented growth and technological advancement. Innovations in machinery and manufacturing processes revolutionized production, but this progress came at a cost. Workers faced exploitation and hazardous conditions, igniting the first sparks of labor reform movements. The nation found itself divided as the debate over slavery intensified, culminating in the Civil War. This bloody conflict pitted brother against brother, North against South, fundamentally challenging the moral and economic foundations of the country. The war's conclusion brought about the end of slavery but left deep scars on the national psyche. Reconstruction aimed to rebuild the South and integrate freed slaves into American society. However, the period was fraught with challenges, including rampant corruption, economic instability, and the rise of segregationist policies. Despite these obstacles, it set the stage for the long and ongoing struggle for civil rights and equality. Manifest Destiny encapsulated the widely held belief that Americans were destined to expand westward across the continent. This ideology drove settlers towards the American frontier, furthering the exploration and eventual annexation of territories. However, this expansion came at a significant cost to indigenous peoples, whose lands were forcibly taken, leading to numerous conflicts and displacements. The era of westward expansion was marked by the pursuit of land and opportunity. Settlers, driven by the promise of prosperity, embarked on journeys along routes like the Oregon Trail. This mass migration reshaped the landscape of the American West, leading to the establishment of new states and altering the nation's demographic fabric. Immigration waves in the late 19th and early 20th centuries transformed the United States into a melting pot of cultures. People from Europe, Asia, and other regions arrived in droves, drawn by the promise of freedom and economic opportunity. While their contributions enriched American society, they also faced challenges, including discrimination and cultural assimilation struggles. The Progressive Era emerged as a response to the challenges posed by industrialization and urbanization. Reformers sought to address the ills of society, from corrupt political machines to unsafe working conditions. Their efforts led to significant changes, including labor laws, women's suffrage, and regulatory measures aimed at curbing corporate power. The Roaring Twenties was a period of dramatic social and cultural change. The Jazz Age brought new music and nightlife, while Prohibition attempted to curb alcohol consumption, leading to the rise of speakeasies. Amidst this backdrop of change, the decade also witnessed significant technological advancements and economic growth, setting the stage for the challenges that would follow in the Great Depression. World War II marked a pivotal era in American history, as the nation rallied to support the Allied forces against the Axis powers from 1939 to 1945. The home front became a beacon of unity and sacrifice, with men and women contributing to the war effort through military service and workforce participation. This period saw the introduction of rationing, victory gardens, and war bonds, emphasizing the collective effort required to secure victory abroad. As the Cold War dawned, America found itself embroiled in a new kind of conflict characterized by espionage, proxy wars, and a nuclear arms race. The fear of communism led to domestic policies aimed at containment, significantly impacting American politics and society. This era underscored the geopolitical tension between the US and the Soviet Union, which lasted until the latter's dissolution in 1991. The civil rights movement during 1954 to 1968 was a transformative period in the pursuit of equality and justice for African Americans. Led by figures like Martin Luther King Jr., the movement challenged systemic racism through peaceful protests, legal battles, and civil disobedience. Their efforts culminated in significant legislative changes, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The Vietnam War, stretching from 1955 to 1975, became a contentious issue in American society, sparking widespread protest and debate over military involvement in Southeast Asia. The conflict led to significant casualties on both sides and left lasting scars on the national psyche, challenging perceptions of American military invincibility and prompting calls for policy reevaluation. The space race, ignited by the Soviet Union's launch of Sputnik in 1957, propelled the US into a fierce competition for celestial supremacy. This period of technological and scientific innovation peaked with the Apollo 11 moon landing in 1969, symbolizing a monumental achievement not just for America, but for humanity, showcasing the boundless possibilities of space exploration and cooperation. The Watergate scandal shook the nation in 1974, marking the first time a U.S. president resigned from office. Richard Nixon's departure followed revelations of political espionage and sabotage. This event left a lasting scar on the political landscape, highlighting the need for transparency and ethical governance in the highest offices. The technological boom transformed society in profound ways, ushering in the rise of Silicon Valley and the information age. Innovations in computing and the internet during the late 20th century revolutionized how people work, communicate, and entertain themselves, setting the stage for a global economy increasingly dependent on digital technology. The Reagan era, characterized by a conservative shift in American politics, saw significant changes in economic policies and the end of the Cold War. Reagan's policies of deregulation and tax cuts aimed to stimulate economic growth, while his foreign policy efforts contributed to the dissolution of the Soviet Union, altering the global political order. The 1990s were marked by economic prosperity, technological advancements, and globalization. This decade witnessed the rise of the internet, changing the business landscape and everyday life. Globalization facilitated by trade agreements like NAFTA reshaped industries and labor markets, while the tech boom hinted at the dawn of a new millennium. September 11, 2001, stands as a pivotal moment in American history. The terror attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon prompted a global war on terror, leading to profound changes in U.S. foreign and domestic policies. The nation rallied in the face of tragedy, but the ensuing conflicts would challenge its principles and resilience. The financial crisis of 2008 struck with devastating force, rooted in a bubble of subprime mortgages and risky financial products. Banks teetered on the brink of collapse, millions lost their homes, and unemployment soared. Recovery efforts included massive bailouts and regulatory reforms aimed at preventing a similar disaster. Barack Obama's presidency, beginning in 2009, was historic, marking the election of the first African American president in the United States. His tenure was characterized by significant policies including healthcare reform, the push for clean energy, and the operation that led to the death of Osama bin Laden amidst intense political polarization. The advent of social media revolutionized how society interacts, communicates, and consumes information. Platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram became central to daily life, altering the landscape of politics, business, and personal relationships. However, this digital revolution also sparked debates over privacy, misinformation, and the impact on mental health. The opioid epidemic emerged as a public health crisis, with overprescription of painkillers leading to widespread addiction and a surge in overdose deaths. Efforts to combat the epidemic have focused on reducing prescriptions, increasing access to treatment, and addressing the societal factors contributing to addiction. Climate change challenges have prompted a global call to action, with activists and scientists urging for immediate policy changes to reduce carbon emissions and mitigate environmental impacts. The movement has gained traction, pushing governments and corporations toward renewable energy sources, sustainable practices, and greater environmental accountability. The Black Lives Matter movement surged as a powerful force, advocating for racial justice and police reform. Sparked by high-profile incidents of police brutality, it symbolized a broader struggle against systemic racism. Communities across the nation rallied, demanding change and accountability, marking a pivotal moment in America's ongoing fight for equality. As the world grappled with the COVID-19 pandemic, the United States faced unprecedented health challenges and societal impacts. Lockdowns, economic downturns, and a strained healthcare system tested the resilience of the nation. Amidst loss and uncertainty, society adapted, showcasing the human capacity to endure and innovate in the face of adversity. The 2020 election epitomized the deep political polarization gripping America. Controversy and heightened emotions surrounded the process, culminating in a historic voter turnout. The aftermath underscored the fragility and strength of democratic institutions, as the nation navigated through disputes and sought to reaffirm the integrity of its electoral processes. January 6, 2021, witnessed a shocking assault on the Capitol, as a mob sought to overturn the election results. This unprecedented attack highlighted the dangerous levels of division and misinformation plaguing American society. It served as a wake-up call, prompting a critical examination of the state of democracy in the United States. Despite the trials and tribulations, the spirit of American resilience remains undiminished. Looking to the future, there's a collective aspiration to heal divisions, address systemic challenges, and forge a path toward a more united and equitable nation. The journey ahead is fraught with complexity, but the enduring hope is for progress and reconciliation.